Hello, I'm Angie. Today I want to talk about the decline of accountability in the UK. Accountability. What a simple, powerful idea. If you make a mistake, you acknowledge it, you take responsibility, and you work to make things right. It's what I'd always been brought up to believe. But in Britain today, did you know accountability is slipping away? You do, of course you do. You've seen it with your own eyes. And ordinary people are paying the price, aren't they? You and me. Let's consider what happened to sub-postmasters, shall we? Let's consider pensioners losing their bank branches. Or how about the Royal Mail? It was once a national institution. Do you know now? It's just been taken over by foreign hands. These aren't isolated events, no. They reveal a pattern of responsibility being abandoned. Over the next few minutes, I'll take you through these cases, what went wrong, who suffered, and why this matters. First, what about the post office scandal? The post office scandal exposed one of the worst miscarriages of justice in modern UK history. Between 1999 and 2015, more than 900 sub-postmasters were wrongly prosecuted, with around 700 of those prosecutions brought by the post office itself. These individuals faced false accounting charges, lost homes, reputations, and tragically, at least 13 people died by suicide. Shameful. And yet, despite knowing Horizon was faulty, Post Office and Fujitsu maintained the fiction that it was reliable, even as careers and lives crumbled. Compensation has been slow and hard fought. By early 2025, approximately 768 million had finally been paid out to claimants, but they're still years behind the damage done. Moreover, trials of the key suspects won't take place until 2027 at the earliest. This isn't accountability. It's a limbo of trauma and delay and unaccountability. Let's move on to banks closing, with NatWest closing a further 50 branches. Have you read about that? And what that means? NatWest has announced the closure of 49 branches, beginning with 2 today in Cambrian and Wisbech. In September alone, NatWest and Halifax are set to close a further 39 branches, with NatWest accounting for 26 of those. And since 2015, the NatWest Group has shuttered over 1,400 branches, the most of any UK banking group. But it's a trend that others have pursued, I'm afraid. Because banks argue customers are going digital. But 39% of people over 65 don't use online banking. And 21% of UK consumers worry about losing in-person access. I do. These closures save money, but they erode access, trust, and accountability. To whom do our banks answer when they push vulnerable customers aside? Thirdly, who has heard about the takeover of Royal Mail, another example of a national treasure being traded for private profit by a foreign company and out of our accountability? Royal Mail has centuries of history behind it. UK history, but it's now changing hands. In a landmark move, the UK government approved IDS's £3.6 billion takeover by Czech billionaire Daniel Křetínský's EP Group, marking the first time the 500-year-old institution passed into foreign ownership. Under new ownership, Royal Mail achieved an adjusted operating profit of £12 million for the year ending March 2025, compared to a £336 million loss the previous year. Something's not right. Something has to be done in this country to improve our services, to improve Royal Mail and the like. The parent group, IDS, reported £278 million in operating profit, a sharp reversal from modest losses before the takeover. At what cost? Second-class deliveries are being axed on Saturdays, and postal norms are changing. Services impacted, communities disrupted, as the sense of public service fades. And with it, accountability. Yes, accountability to the public is shifting to accountability to investors. And that's a profound change. And where does it leave all of us? And what about these other deep failures of accountability? Let me remind you of number 1, Grenfell Tower, where 72 lives were lost in 2017. The inquiry declared it a death trap born of decades of neglect by industry, government, and regulators. As one survivor put it, the system isn't broken, it was built this way. Others say, there are recommendations which haven't been implemented. I view people in power very differently now. They don't seem to care. And there's many people feeling like that. Number 2, then there's the Carillion collapse in 2018. An outsourcing giant collapsed under debts, leaving hospitals, schools, and cleaning services in chaos. Yet its directors escaped any consequences. Where's the accountability in that? And number 3, look at the lack of accountability with the behaviour of water companies. They pump billions in dividends, yes, to the rich and wealthy, but still dump raw sewage so that we all suffer, with weak regulation, minimal fines, little change, no accountability. In each of these cases, ordinary people suffer and institutions evade accountability. So, why is accountability eroding? And what's driving this? Number 1, concentration of power. There are fewer corporations who control vital services, making them too big to punish. Number 2, weak regulation. You see, our watchdogs are becoming weaker and weaker because they are now underfunded or industry aligned. So they are failing to enforce standards on our behalf, which leaves us stranded with no accountability. Then there is the cultural shift of apologies replacing consequences. We see reviews which replace resignations. It's shameful, isn't it? And 4, finally, let's look at the decline in good, honest media reporting. National journalism is controlled by the mega wealthy who do not need protection in the way ordinary people like us do, and they prevent journalists from speaking honestly. Local journalism, well, they used to be the guardian of oversight, and they are shrinking rapidly. So scandals fade quickly, and with it, accountability. Yes, we can see what's happening. Power shields itself, and ordinary people bear the fallout. So what can be done? We have our post office, NatWest and other banks, Royal Mail, Grenfell, Carillion, water companies, different sectors, but the same trend: evading responsibility, evading accountability, while people like you and me suffer. But accountability can be recovered. You need to speak up. We need to support transparency campaigns. Demand leaders don't just say sorry. They must act. They must resign and repair, as we were brought up to believe they should. Because accountability isn't a nice to have, it's the foundation of trust. And I'm sorry to say, without it, society falters and ultimately collapses. What do you think about this growing trend? Have your say below in the comments. Goodbye.